Hey Gengar Gang, what is going on? My name is Ryan, this is the Analytic Gengar, and welcome to another video. In today's video, friends, we talk about what is perhaps one of the most controversial topics, and that is, which is better, Hidden Fates or Shining Fates? Now, this is a topic that came to me mainly as I was going through my binders, and so I figured, well, I have a feeling Hidden Fates is better, and I have a feeling that I know I'm going to be right about some of the assumptions that I had, but one of the things that came to me was maybe I should do the math behind it and see if there is some sort of, mathematical way to back up the claim that Hidden Fates is empirically better than Shining Fates. And, perhaps to no one's surprise, I was able to find quite a bit of, evidence to support my claim. So in today's video, that is what we'll be going over. As always, this is an opinion video, so of course you can love Hidden Fates, you can love Shining Fates, you can love them both, you can hate them both. That's the beauty of the hobby, is that we all have things that we love. And just so everyone's aware, I don't hate Shining Fates, I think it's a cool set, but I do have some criticisms, mainly around the fact that I think they rushed into this set, and I wish they had waited just a little bit longer to give them a little bit more time with the Sword and Shield era, so that they could perhaps do, a little bit better when it came to some of the cards in the set. But I'll get into that in a little bit. So without further ado, let's get into it. First things first, let's go ahead and just break down the two sets, put them up side by side on screen for you. So as you can see on screen right now is the set list for Hidden Fates. Hidden Fates was released, for everyone's benefit, on August 23rd, 2019. The set is literally marketed as a collector's dream, featuring not only 68 base cards, but then an additional secret rare. And then, for what is the first time sort of officially in the TCG, the premiere of a SV set, or a Shiny Vault. This Shiny Vault was a total of 94 cards, and as you can see, they featured some of the best Pokemon from the various sets reprinted in a shiny form. The set was released to basically critical acclaim and almost universal love. So interestingly enough, Hidden Fates was really welcomed. I mean, just from my own experiences, what I can say with absolute confidence is that I know a lot of folks who look back at Hidden Fates as sort of a turning point for how serious they took the hobby. I know a lot of folks who got back into the hobby because of Hidden Fates. I personally owe this channel to Hidden Fates because it's one of the main inspirations for me, not only getting back into Pokemon on a very serious level, but also sort of doubling down and creating a social media presence as well. So, needless to say, Hidden Fates was very pivotal to the Pokemon hobby as a whole, and I think in the long run, we're also going to see that it's going to basically be a historic event in Pokemon's history. This is what I personally think, but I do think it is that serious, because this set just checked every single box it possibly could. Then, a couple of months later, we got wind of Shining Fates, a February set that would be released during Pokemon's 25th anniversary. The set officially released on February 19th, 2021, and much like its predecessor Hidden Fates, it had a regular set as well as a Shiny Vault set. There were 73 cards in total, inclusive of one secret rare, and then a Shiny Vault set that had 122 brand new shiny Pokemon cards, which was a significant increase over Hidden Fates' 94 cards. So, at first, it seemed pretty impressive. The sheer number being 28 cards greater meant that there was a lot more shiny cardboard to release. And that meant a lot more shiny cardboard to pull and collect, and a lot of people had a lot of high hopes that this set would be a huge boom on the hobby, mainly because it would feature some amazing cards. Later on, I'll get into, I think, how they kind of shot themselves in the foot with releasing, too many cards as sneak peeks or promos, but that's a topic for a little bit later. Right now, what you need to know is that the total number of 195 cards stood well above Hidden Fates' total 163, and the set was released to moderate amounts of joy. There are many mitigating reasons why it wasn't as big a success immediately at launch, and it's primarily driven by the mass shortages of trading cards that we've seen. Long story short, Pokemon has struggled keeping and putting product on store shelves, and so a combination of that made it so that while Hidden Fates is going down as one of the most beloved sets, and a lot of people had issues with it, that was only more so exaggerated by Shining Fates when people couldn't even get the stuff on store shelves. To date, I don't believe I have ever seen a actual Shining Fates product on a store shelf. Everything that I've received has either been purchased online at a slight markup or has been a pre-order from GameStop. So just a little bit of an experience for you to reflect on. It's very clear that at this point, the entirety of 2020 had taken a toll on the hobby, and that meant that not only was there huge demand for this stuff, but in addition to everything else, there was major impact to production, meaning a lot of this stuff wasn't on store shelves as timely enough as it could need. As you can see, the set is pretty interestingly balanced. The one thing I will say is that there's only one ground card, which is kind of weird. There's also only one psychic card, which is kind of weird. If we look back and flip to Hidden Fates, what you'll see is that there's a pretty, decent dispersion of cards, and I think this is one of the reasons why Shining Fates kind of loses out for me, is mainly because it seems as though they just kind of picked any card they could and jammed it in there. For example, the whopping total of fire Pokemon in Shining Fates include an Amazing Rare, a V card, and a VMAX card. Period. End of story. And so situations like that make me question, because although I'm not that big a TCG player, and I don't necessarily care that much if there's, just 3 fire cards, I do really have just sort of an odd question, like why jam 3 cards in there? Were there no other Pokemon from the over 700 that you could pick from? Same concept with the one Trapinch. Would it have hurt to give us a Flygon, V, or even a VMAX, and just let it premiere here? So some interesting decisions were made with the Shining Fates set list. Of course, one of the big pluses here, something that we'll cover a little bit later on, is the number of full art trainer cards in the original Shining Fates set. And then, of course, what everyone's here to see is the Shiny Vault, which again contains 122 new Shining Pokemon. And if you notice, I'm scrolling, and oh look, there are the full arts. So, let's throw these two, Shining Fates and Hidden Fates, side by side, and let's actually talk about some of the comparisons. For the sake of simplicity, I'm just going to say Shining and Hidden. This way, we don't start mixing up words. As many of you know, I do have a weird habit of crisscrossing my words, and I don't want there to be any confusion. So, there'll be Shining and there'll be Hidden, and those will be the way that I refer to the two sets. So, starting off with some very high level information. As I'd said, Shining has a total of 73 base cards and then 122 Shiny Vault cards. Hidden has a total of 69 regular cards and a total of 94 Shiny Vault cards. At this very superficial level, it would appear that Shining is not only a larger set, but also contains more regular as well as more Shiny Vault cards. Meaning that if we were giving it to, if we were awarding a winner based on the number of cards, we would have to award it to Shining Fates. Shining Fates just has a significantly larger number of Shiny Vault cards and regular cards, and being a bigger set, especially with a set that everyone is going to want to collect, is going to be a big plus. So, first up and foremost, for the Shiny Vault set, Shining Fates is the winner purely on a numerical basis because there are more Shiny Vault cards in Shining than there are Hidden. Obviously, from here, we can go ahead and start doing some real comparisons. So if we look at the number of Rainbow Rares in the base set, we'll see that there's 1 in Shining and 1 in Hidden. So if we quickly scroll over here and take a peek, the one full art card that we have for Shining is the Alcremie V, and the one Hidden Fates full art card that we have is the Moltres, Zapdos, and Articuno. Next up, we have the rainbow rares, which are same concept. As you can see, for hidden, we have the birds as a rainbow rare, and for shining, we have the Alcremie VMAX as a rainbow rare. So again, it's a one-to-one comparison. I think we can call those both ties for what it's worth. Next up is the full art trainers in the base set. So here's where Shining Fates tends to pull out a little bit ahead of Hidden Fates. The reason for that, if you look at the Shining set list, you'll see that we have the Ball Guy, the Bird Keeper, Caralis, Gym Trainer. There are a total of 8, and of course, perhaps the most powerful of those 2 cards are going to be the Skyla and the Pokekid. Whether you like it or not as a trend, the waifu tax or the waifu card hunt is always going to be present in Pokemon, especially for a variety of collectors. As long as there's demand for it, they will pay for it. Well, you know, the cards are going to be popular. And so Shining really does have a really nice improvement here because there is a, you know, really good set of full art trainer cards to get out of the set, which I think is pretty neat. In the Hidden Fates department, we have a total of 2 different full art trainer cards, Giovanni's Exile and Jesse and James. Now, I have awarded the winner to Shining Fates. And the reason I did this is purely numerically driven. So in the same way that I said Shining is the better set, numerically speaking, for the Shiny Vault, I awarded it to the full art trainer count here as well. And the main reason for that is because, yes, there are 8 different full art cards, and that should be recognized as part of the merit Shining Fates has. My one comment is that for Shining Fates, as you can see, you know, I would have nightmares if I pulled Ball Guy, and there is a different Rose where he's slimmer, so I don't necessarily know if it was that big of an improvement. Again, Skyla and Pokekid are probably the 2 cards that you want to pull, whether it be from a value perspective or, you know, from a purely I want these cards for my collection perspective. So, you know, again, I'm happy they jammed a whole bunch more full arts here, but you'll see the price we pay a little bit later on because of the presence of 8 full art cards in the regular set here. Now, for Hidden Fates, the one thing I will say is Giovanni's Exile was so-so. It wasn't always the most popular card, but the Jesse and James card has really aged well, and it's become a fan favorite. So even though there are only 2 cards here, I would urge many viewers or folks who have an opinion different from my own to consider the true value of a fan favorite card like the Jesse and James card versus like, okay, Big Mommy Milker Skyla. There is a real difference, and I think that difference is something that needs to be recognized when you're making a more unemotional judgment that is based on fact and empirical statement. Of course, like I said, you might have a preference for one of these characters, these trainers, or something of that nature, and that might drive you to like a set more. But empirically speaking, I have a feeling that Jesse and James will do a lot better in the future from a value perspective, as well as a collectability perspective, and that could be a huge driver for the potential future of these 2 sets. Now, when speaking about Hidden Fates and Shining Fates, of course, it's always important to take into consideration the Shiny Vaults. Personally, that's what we're all here for. So although everything I've covered up till now, the Rainbow Rares, Full Art Pokemon cards, and Full Art Trainer cards, have been in relation to the base set, it's time we talk about the Shiny Vault, because the Shiny Vault is by far the most important thing we could possibly talk about. That is the gimmick with these 2 sets, is that they are meant to have a shiny vault that is only pulled from the reverse holographic slot, and that's what makes these sets fun. So, let's start talking about it. As I'd mentioned before, Shining has a total of 122 cards, and Hidden Fates has a total of 94 cards. At a very superficial high-level glance, Shining would appear to be the winner, mainly because it has more cards. But upon further investigation, you would be surprised to find out that Hidden Fates is actually the real winner. And as you can see on screen, there are many, many, many categories in which it wins. And so let's break down each of these. So if we take a look at the full art Pokemon within the Shining Vault, you'll find that there are only a total of 16 in Shining. So as I was doing a little earlier, you'll see that it's quite a bit of a scroll all the way down to the bottom of the set list. And once you get here, including the gold cards, there's only 16 total cards here. So that's interesting to note. And bear in mind that that includes V and V Maxes, because at the end of the day, they're just full art Pokemon cards with the shiny art variant. I don't count the Eternatus V and the Eternatus V Max. You'll see why in just a moment. But there are only 16 cards here to count, and that's excluding promos, right? If we look at the Hidden Fates set, you'll notice that I'm scrolling, but now I'm scrolling because there are many, many, many full arts here. A total of 35. So numerically speaking, Hidden Fates is the very clear winner with nearly double the amount of full art Pokemon shiny cards in the set. Next up is gold Pokemon cards, and as you can see, there's the Eternatus V and the Eternatus V Max. That puts Shining at 2. Hidden Fates, unsurprisingly, has a total of 4 shiny Pokemon cards. All 4 Tapus from the Sun and Moon era. Note that I don't count gold Stadium cards, because if I did, it would just be 8, and Hidden Fates would still win. The next category then becomes the gold Stadium cards. Obviously, Shining Fates has none, Hidden Fates has 4. So whether you squish all gold cards into one category or not, Hidden Fates is the clear winner either way. And finally but not least is the full art trainers. And ironically enough, Shining Fates has none, and Hidden Fates has 6. So we got 6 full arts here, plus the 2 from the regular set. That's a total of 8. And yeah, Shining has 8, all located in the base set. So ironically enough, they're tied with the number of full art trainer cards, but Hidden Fates reserves the full art trainers really for the back end of the Shiny Vault set, which is really interesting. And of course, they were smart enough to not only work in a Lady and a Cynthia, both of which play to the waifu tax spectrum of the collecting universe, but you also have some instant fan classics like Uncle Guzma, as well as Hiker and Fisherman, which are in their own way very, very sought after and collected. So again, winner, Hidden Fates. In terms of total Shiny Vault hits, which you can see on screen right now is a very clear calculation, I am showing 18 total hits for Shining Fates. The 18 hits are realistically going to be everything from Rillaboom all the way to the Eternatus VMAX and everything in between. So realistically, there's only 18 cards that are really going to be sought after or are really going to make your pack opening that hype. When it comes to Hidden Fates, however, you've got 35 different really hype cards. You've got everything from the Leafeon all the way down to the Tapu Lele GX and everything in between. And here's one thing that I urge you all to consider. Notice that the Charizard VMAX was hyped up as one of the big cards in the set. It even made a special early appearance in a Pokemon 25th anniversary video. And so it was very clearly hyped up as a great card. Hidden Fates, if you take away the Charizard, and this, by the way, isn't my argument, I've heard tons of other people say it, but if you take away the Charizard GX, you still have the Espeon and the Umbreon, you still have the Darkrai, you still have the Mewtwo, you still have the Sylveon, you still have the Full Art Trainers, and you still have the Gold Stadium cards. And you could probably find other Pokemon cards that are super dope here, like the Ninetales, like the Gardevoir, etc., etc. All that to say, the Charizard does not make this set. Hidden Fates is not defined singularly by the Charizard because there are tons of other hits to get. In Shining Fates, if you take away this Charizard, this just looks like a really poor knockoff of the original Hidden Fates. Finally but not least, let's just do some high-level percentages. Obviously, for baby shiny Pokemon, while they're fun, I don't necessarily think they're the true hits of the Shiny Vault. You know, when people roll into these sets, you're looking for the Charizards, you're looking for the full art cards. So I think it's unfair to say that baby shinies are a good thing. Technically, you'd want less of them, because the less of them there are, the more diverse the overall Shiny Vault is. Now, when doing the calculations, what I was actually able to find is that it's a pretty significant number of baby shiny Pokemon, so about 85.25% of Shining Fates' entire Shiny Vault is baby Pokemon, which is no bueno, because that means that only about 15% are what we would call hits in the traditional sense of the term. For Hidden Fates, and here's where my argument really kind of stands out, because you might say, oh, 15%, that sounds really good, right? Like, that's about normal. But here's the thing. For Hidden Fates, which, again, was such a beloved set, only 47.87% of all the Shiny Vault cards were baby Pokemon. That means more than half, about 53% of all, 52 to 53% of all of the cards were a full art or better. So, put a different way, they had a very thick density of really amazing either full art shiny Pokemon, trainer cards, gold cards, etc., etc. And I think that really helped define Hidden Fates as a very strong set, because it wasn't just full of baby Pokemon. It really did have some genuine quality to it that I think Shining Fates is unfortunately lacking, and hopefully this number helps to show you that. Now, of course, I did just do some additional stuff as well. So we have the percentage full art, meaning, you know, the number of cards that are higher or better. And what I found is that about 13% of Shining Fates set list for the Shiny Vault is full art cards. That excludes the 2 gold cards. If we add the 2 gold cards in there, meaning full art or better, it's about 14.75%. Obviously, the 2 numbers, the 85.25 and the 14.75, add up to the total 100%. If you're looking at Hidden Fates, however, what you'll notice is that about 37.23% of the cards are full art Pokemon cards. So we're talking the GXs that are full art shiny cards. So the Umbreons, the Charizards, Greninjas, etc., etc. That excludes, by the way, the full art trainers and the gold cards. Then if you add in the full art trainers and the gold cards, you get to about 52%. So as I'd highlighted previously, the density of hits in Hidden Fates was also a big reason why it was such a success. So, with this graphic now firmly on screen and sort of all the points highlighted, there are just some random other miscellaneous items to point out. Obviously, I think Shining Fates is a great set, and it's definitely one of the many things Pokemon is doing in order to get through the 25th anniversary. However, I do wish they had released the set later on in the Sword and Shield era. I personally think they rushed into it because of the success of Hidden Fates. And because of the success of Hidden Fates, which had all these amazing cards in it, they thought that they could replicate the success by simply giving us shiny Pokemon. I think what they underestimated was the necessity for there to be a deep and diverse and very well balanced pool of shiny Pokemon. It would have been cool if we got about 60 full art cards and then about 60, baby shinies. That would have approximated what went on in Hidden Fates. But when you have 122 cards and 104 of them are baby shiny Pokemon, it's not necessarily that the hits are that great, it's just that there's a lot of shiny Pokemon baby forms and not a lot of full arts. And that means that either the full arts are going to be hilariously easy to pull, which is kind of what we've been hearing in the hobby across the board, or it's just going to be a pain in the neck for collectors to collect all this stuff because there's just so many cards. So in a weird way, bigger isn't always better, and in a weird situation, Pokemon may have overplayed the success by, instead of giving us a quality set, giving us a large set, hoping that it would be the same thing when unfortunately it isn't. I personally hope they stop with this trend and they wait a few years. I want them to wait 2, 3, 4 years so that they have some amazing artworks and different sets to pull from. If you notice, the only set that came out after Hidden Fates was released was Cosmic Eclipse. So it was very much near the end of the product's life cycle and that generation's life cycle because we were getting ready for Sword and Shield. So interestingly enough, I think that in order for shiny sets like this one to be successful, they need to come out at the very end of a generation so that they can pull from all of the different sets. So, instead of just grabbing the Darkness Ablaze Charizard, the Sword and Shield era base set Rillaboom, V and V Max and, you know, grabbing some other cards. I know the Toxtricity is from, I believe, Rebel Clash, and, you know, just randomly grabbing stuff. I wish they had done a little better, just waited a little bit more, and then really given us a complete set of full art shiny Pokemon. I think they could have also done a better job with the promos, which is something I didn't talk about in this video, but for a very specific reason. You might say, okay, Ryan, well, great points, but, you know, you're forgetting the Dragapult and the Crobat and the 3 Pokemon that come out of the tins. To which I would say, okay, cool, but why didn't they just give us those Pokemon cards in the set? Because when you give it to us as a promo card, it takes the fun out of hunting those cards. And ironically enough, you would have gotten 4 cards from the Dragapult and the Crobat, and then you would have gotten an additional 3 cards from the tins, and that would have been an additional 7, which have certainly helped these percentages. If you notice for Hidden Fates, they were quite smart. What they did is they basically gave us alternate art versions of Pokemon in the regular set. So we got an alt art Charizard, Gyarados, and Raichu, all of which came from the base set. So they didn't touch the shiny vault at all, but they gave us that stuff a little bit, you know, more basically. Then for the boxes, what they did was they gave us the Zoroark and the Metagross, and then we got the Rayquaza in that other weird random Ultimate Collection. And that box, of course, costing $100, also came with 2 gold cards. So I think they're about even, but I think what's weird is that Hidden Fates had enough full art cards anyway that we didn't really feel the pain. They were just additional shiny Pokemon cards, but they were so cool and badass that we loved it anyway. Plus, we had tons to hunt. When it comes to Shining Fates, they were running very, very low on full art Pokemon cards. And so to give us, you know, I think 7 in total, basically as like freebie giveaway promo cards, it kind of hurt them because they could have just shuffled it around a little bit and gave us some different promos, or, you know, just packed more cards into the set. So with that said, friends, let me know your thoughts down below. I love both of these sets, but I gotta say, there's nothing quite as enjoyable as flipping through my Hidden Fates binder. And I gotta say, I don't think I'm going to feel the same way when my Shining Fates binder is complete. I already pulled the Charizard, so don't get me wrong, I love the set, but I do think they could have done a lot better, and frankly, it's important for us to raise these valid criticisms as we look to the future, because obviously tons of folks might want to collect the set, and it's important to realize that just because it has the word Fates on it and the logos look the same, doesn't mean they are equally as good. So, let me know what you think down below. If you enjoyed today's video or learned something new, feel free to leave a like on the video. And as we approach the great big 1,000 subscriber mark, if you're not already, I do strongly encourage and greatly appreciate if you would subscribe to the channel to show your support. Videos come out 3 times a week, and I would try to do my best not to mix up my words, but occasionally I do. And when I do, I rely on you guys to remind me about it in the comments, because that helps the algorithm. But with all that said, friends, I hope you guys are having an amazing day. I hope you learned something, and if you did, like I said, leave a like. But other than that, as always, we will talk soon. Peace.